Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for Below Grade Level. Tell your parents you're going to a sleepover.
Hello and welcome to Below Grade Level, the show where we take the books that we read as kids and read them as adults and ruin them. One of your hosts, Jonathan Eaton, with me as always is Bekah Eaton.
Hello.
And Chris Zaleski.
Present.
How you guys doing?
Good.
I'm here.
Good. Fantastic. Guys, we have a special guest today, returning champion, Alex Hayes.
Heyo.
Hey! Alex, how's it
Call
going?
back to pre-roll. Hooah!
People
That's
listening
a joke
won't
just
get
for
that.
us.
Yeah. That's a little inside baseball joke.
Can't wait to find out what's up with those twins in Sweet Valley.
I can't believe we haven't done a Pacino voice in one of these books.
Yeah. You just keep doing Batman over and over again.
Ned keeps doing Batman over and over again.
I think it caught on. I think we've had a lot of Batmans.
We did at least learn our lesson and not make a main character Batman.
Yeah.
Because, boy, I can't... Oof, speaking of doing a Pacino voice, that'll hurt my vocal cords. Alex, I cannot remember. Do you remember what the last thing we had you read with us was?
I think it was a different Sweet Valley High book.
It was Sweet Valley. I thought so.
Yeah.
Something like that. Well,
How
buckle up
serendipitous.
and welcome back.
There was something about a band maybe getting discovered at a dance.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah, the
Yeah.
droids.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the
Yeah.
droids?
There's been
I
no
don't
mention
know.
of them in this book.
Okay, so Alex, this book that we're reading is called Fight Fire with Fire, and we read Sweet Valley High number 1, 2, and 3, and then we skipped to 132. Is that what we are on?
I don't remember.
What it doesn't
Well,
even
why
matter.
wouldn't you? Why
Well,
wouldn't
now
you?
I'm looking it up.
Yeah.
I wrote it down somewhere.
But yeah, so between the last Sweet Valley book and this one, there have been over 100 Sweet Valley books, probably over 120 Sweet Valley books.
It's fine. That's just fine.
So maybe the droids either broke
Fine.
up or maybe they got discovered. And they're like
Well, I hope they made it.
touring. I do too.
They were the droids we were looking for.
Damn it.
132.
132. Oh, I was right. So anyway, yeah, Becca, why don't you catch us up on what happened last time?
Yes, so last time on Fight Fire with Fire, Todd found out about the letters that Elizabeth and Jessica have been writing and was pissed and was saying basically what we've been saying the whole book, which is, who are you now, Elizabeth? This isn't like you. What
Yeah.
the fuck are you doing?
This seems like
is
something-
some Jessica bullshit.
Exactly.
And she kind of placated him a little bit, but I don't know. The way they're both defending it to themselves is just insane.
Yeah.
Like we've said, the stakes aren't that high. He's only 18.
Yeah.
They're obviously going to break up eventually
It's
anyway.
crazy.
Devon found a box full of returned letters that Nana had sent to him and read them all and cried and
Wept. Yeah.
yeah, they had a moment.
Yeah.
He found out that his parents had been sending all those letters back his entire life when he thought that Nana had just left and like didn't give a shit about him. So it did a tremendous amount of psychological damage.
Of course, yes.
And Nana just didn't want to tell him that that had happened because he didn't want them to be pissed at his parents. And then he got like scary mad and like, I get it. I mean, they were shitty, but like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He needs a lot of therapy, like we were saying before the show.
He's like psychologically unraveling.
Yes.
It's clearly a family with a lot of history of mental illness.
Yes, yes. The twins make a plan to have Stephen and Lila run into each other at a football game to make them hate each other
Yeah, I don't
by seeing each other
Yes.
after they've been spending all this time getting them away from each other.
Yeah. None of this makes any sense. Although, if I remember right, Stephen was like, oh, I see Lila. Oh, good. I meant to break up with her. Like,
Oh,
Like, he
yeah.
was already-
So they're both about to go let each other down gently, which is hilarious, actually. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to that. Which I feel like they have to be like, yeah, your letter sucked.
yes,
What letter? You
Yes.
know, how could you not mention it?
that's the shoe drop I'm waiting for.
Yeah. And that's about it.
I want some drama where like Steven yells at his sisters.
Yes.
That's what I want.
That very much.
I don't even care who. I mean, I also want to know who firebombed the restaurant.
Yes.
And burned Lila's house down.
Yeah. I want Devon to catch up with any of this and see how they try to make it relevant at all.
That's what I was going to say. I have a prediction to make. I bet this book is going to end with like Devon meeting Jessica or something. I bet it'll be Jessica for some reason. But to what end? Because there's one more book after this in like the trilogy.
But so
I don't know. I really don't know. But I bet like we've been waiting for Devon to meet them, and I'm just like, I'm picturing it happening in like the last sentence where he's like, "Hi, I'm Devon," where she's like, "I see a tall stranger who looks brooding."
Yeah. Or I was thinking,
is there any more specificity on like the manner or device with which they firebombed this restaurant, or is firebombed all the more specific you get with it?
It was
Truly?
made out of a soda can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A firebomb made out of a soda can.
That's Steven's theory.
Yes.
Because
brand that she doesn't drink.
Working theory. Okay.
When he was
from the
fired,
guy who's been fired for looking too hard.
When they fired him, they didn't have security escort him out, so he illegally went into the evidence room and sifted through the evidence again saw the
Steven,
soda can.
Stay in your lane, you soda can, some bitch.
Yeah. He had actually taken Lila to a convenience store to buy that soda, and she was like, ew, soda's yucky. Then he made her throw it as hard as she could, and she was bad at throwing.
That was one of my favorite parts of this book so far. So that's his defense
at this moment is she can't throw a soda can hard. How could she firebomb with a soda can?
Yeah, that'll hold up.
She can't do what is required for my working theory, therefore she couldn't be the one.
Exactly.
Rock hard logic.
He snuck into the evidence room at a law office, which we confirmed with John Nagel is not a thing that exists. They don't keep evidence at like the DA.
Well, I think they keep some evidence. Like they have to have, but it's probably like files, not like a piece of a soda. I'm sure they have like files and reports. It's
going to be kept for like a period of time for someone in someone's safe before they turn it over to like the actual proper authorities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we jump right into it, I have one last Pacino joke, and I gotta get it out.
Okay,
please.
All right,
yes.
So, like, I think in the third book, Devon meets Lila, and he goes up to Lila, and he's just like, "I can call you Betty, and Betty, you can call me Al."
That's like a Pacino and Paul Simon joke.
It's got layers.
But I don't get it.
Call Me Al, the song.
But why would he say that?
I just really wanted to.
Because Al Pacino.
I know he's Al Pacino, but I didn't know what he had to do with the song.
Nothing.
Okay.
Well, no, but I also think maybe that because he is rich and he'll have a guardian in the next book, and then all of a sudden she's just like, "I've been convicted of arson," and he swoops in, gives her the lifestyle she desires.
Interesting.
Or tries to, and then he's just like, "You betrayed me, just like the rest."
He's got trust issues.
You can no longer call me Al.
You can no longer call me Al.
Al,
who are away with you?
Your Al privileges are revoked. I cannot do a Pacino. All right, let's find out what happens this time on Sweet Valley High Fight Fire with Fire. Chapter 9. Devon decided to finally take Nana's advice and explore Sweet Valley on his Harley.
Oh, yeah. Nana was like, get out there and find some girls.
Yeah. I'm too old for you. Now that he was sure he would be staying, and I forgot that he had a Harley, too. It's just such a fucking, like, James Dean bullshit.
But, like, a rich, waspy James Dean. So it's really hard to reconcile these things.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking Jess from Gilmore Girls. That's what I'm thinking.
Same. He wasn't rich, but like...
Yeah, but still...
Like Jess mixed with Logan.
Yes.
Not a rebel, but also without a cause.
Yes.
Not rich, but comfortable.
Now that he was sure he would be staying on here, it was time to really get to know the town. He let the front door close behind him and took a deep breath of the warm, balmy air. He smiled, possibly for the first purely...
Is this going to make me sad?
Yes. He smiled. Possibly the first purely content smile of his entire life.
Jesus.
His whole fucking life.
God damn.
He
I
let
thought
out
he had a lot of smiles with Nan.
They weren't purely content.
Just at the prospect of getting to know Sweet Valley.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. That's all
That's
it takes.
it.
That's how
He
sweet
turned
it
around,
is.
went back in.
Just that
Yeah.
West Coast warm breeze.
Fucking
I'm
California.
about to get to know a town. As it gets.
Sweet Valley, here I come. Hoo-ah, Devon whispered as he pulled on his helmet and secured the chin strap. I'm not even going to do an Al Pacino accent. I'm just going to make him say hoo-ah. He swung himself onto the bike.
For it.
He swung himself onto the bike and revved the engine, grinning at the roar of the motor. Okay, so that confirms what I think about all bikers. You just get on there and you go, because you like it. You just smile at it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Grinning at the roar of the motor. Looking back up at the house, he saw Nana waving from the doorway. Devon lifted his hand and then took off, knowing for the first time in what seemed like ages that he had a place he wanted to come back to. At the end of the quaint street where Nana lived, Devon turned toward town.
He had seen a few cool-looking burger joints and even a bike shop when he had first arrived, but he hadn't wanted to take the time to stop. Now he had all the time in the world. I'm going to have a life here, he thought with a giddy sense of anticipation. Nana had made his dream come true for him. Is he still in high school? Like, does he need to register for classes or anything? I don't remember how old he is.
Yeah, I assume hasn't graduated.
Do you have to if you're rich?
No.
Yeah.
Or like, or is it like a state-sanctioned like sabbatical from school? Like, oh, he's got to travel the country to look for a guardian.
Yeah, he'll
You can
get
drop
school
out
credit
after 16,
for
right?
being a cool guy.
I don't think you need your parents' permission to just stop going to high school.
The motorcycle part of it's actually
I
required.
don't know, I guess.
I
You wouldn't have a diploma.
no. Yeah, you wouldn't graduate, but you stop going.
Devon stopped at a red light and placed his feet on the ground for balance. Looking around, he noticed a couple of guys and girls tossing a football back and forth on the lawn in front of a large white house. I'm sorry. I still have a throat tickle. Cut out all my coughs.
Mm-hmm.
They appeared to be about Devon's age, and all of them were tan. Not like his pale East Coast pasty body.
His Connecticut skin.
Devon turned his arm and studied his own pale skin. I'm going to have to catch some serious rays if I'm going to fit in here, Devon realized. We do have sun over here.
Yeah. Not California sun, though.
I guess not. He gave the group a long look, studying each of their smiling faces. He must look like a psychopath.
He's just sitting on his motorcycle staring at them, and he's like...
Honestly,
Looking at his skin periodically.
every time I've ever driven through Connecticut, it was night. So no proof to this day that they have sunlight there.
Good point. Will these kids be my friends? He wondered. He couldn't imagine actually fitting in. A cold climate East Coaster in this mellow, warm place.
It'll never work.
It could never
2
work.
seconds ago, he was content for the first time in his life, and now he's like, well, I'll never fit in.
But maybe, just maybe, he'd make a few real friends here. People who cared about more than his money and good looks. God, must be hard,
I mean,
Devon.
Do you know what California's like, dude?
Yeah,
Right?
Everyone's got money and good looks.
Also, sidebar, I don't... fuck Connecticut. Connecticut sucks.
I don't think I've spent any time there.
I haven't spent any time there, but we've driven through it multiple times, and driving from Baltimore to like Boston or just driving like to New England, you have to drive through Connecticut, and that part of the drive always sucks the hardest because it's always just like this little 2-lane, like 95 just turns into like 2 lanes, and for some reason there's always fucking traffic. And that one time we stopped for food, and it was that place that didn't take credit cards, and I had to like send them a check.
It was like we went back in time. It was like a little tiny diner that didn't take cards, and we didn't know until after we ordered and ate all of our food.
Yeah.
And they didn't have an ATM anywhere. They wouldn't take cards, and we were like, we'll mail you a check. And they were like, okay, we trust you. And we just left. And we did mail them a check.
I did mail them a check, but like that was the craziest.
That's gotta happen pretty often.
Yeah.
I would think.
You're right off of 95. Like the reason we stopped there was because we were starving and we needed a place to eat. And it was literally like the first fucking place we saw. Like, oh, cute little diner.
Yeah. What did
you
And
get
they're
to
like,
eat
we
while you
don't
were
take
there?
credit cards around here.
I don't remember.
See,
Fucking
having grown up
Connecticut.
in Delaware and then gone to visit Connecticut, the first thing that was like, oh, okay, so this is just Delaware if it had proximity to the richest city in the country.
This is what Delaware could be.
Yeah,
The whole state's a suburb of New York City.
that's right.
Yeah.
Oof, yeah.
The light turned green and Devon hit the accelerator. 2 blocks later, he was in the heart of Sweet Valley's business district. Devon noticed one of the diners he had seen on his first day in town and pulled up just before the parking lot to take a look. Dairy Burger, Devon read with a smirk. How quaint. See, like, this is what I don't get about him. Are you a snob or are you, like, a Harley guy?
Yeah. Nothing
What do you mean quaint? You're from fucking Connecticut.
Yeah.
We just told a story about your diners in Connecticut.
Barely gotten to know this town. He's already regretting it.
Yeah.
How quaint.
Dairy with 2 eyes.
How quaint.
Oh,
I'll have to
goodness.
remember to mail them a check. He pulled off his helmet, safety first, and watched as a horde of kids poured out of the diner. They were all dressed in red and white, and they laughed and shouted as they piled into a big forest green Ford Explorer. As the car pulled away, one of the girls stuck a pom-pom out the window and yelled, "Go Gladiators!"
Oh, wait, did we temporarily go back in time? Is he going to end up at the football game that
It sounds
Steven and
like
Lila
it.
are currently at?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
awesome.
we did a little rewind.
Good. Fucking finally.
World building? Are we doing some building in Sweet Valley High?
Yeah.
"Gladiators?" Devon said aloud.
I didn't know they had gladiators here.
Then he noticed the Roman legionnaire marching someone to their death. Then he noticed a huge sign in the window of the Dairy Burger. It read, "Go Sweet Valley High, beat Big Mesa." Bunch of BMs. So that's what all the hoopla was about. A football game. They must be headed for the high school, Devon thought. A tingle of nervousness shot down his spine. My new school. On the spur of the moment, he decided to follow the Explorer, not creepily, just stranger on a motorcycle.
At a safe distance.
In a few days, he would register for classes at SVH. He was about to get a glimpse of his future. Sometime later...
Another quick aside, I think it's funny how all football game rhetoric is, go this team, beat this team. I don't know. I think that's funny. It's so simple.
I mean, yeah.
It's just so simple, but I'm just like,
There's not much to football.
I guess, if it ain't broke, but
Yeah.
My favorite football chant is, "Punch him in the face."
Okay, so I went to a
the only one
Catholic high
chanting that?
school. I went to a Catholic high school and we had religion class where we would, we would start every religion class where one person from the class would pray. We'd all take turns. We would get a day where it was our turn to start the class with prayer.
Mhm.
And so a lot of kids would always pray for, let our fucking team win.
Mm.
And then so my buddy Josh Stein, when it was his day to pray, he said, "I want to pray that our team wins and is happy and that the other team loses and is sad."
Did he get in
Hero,
trouble
hero.
for praying for a mean thing? Or did they just really love
no.
football?
All the teachers are like, amen.
Yeah.
Sister Janet was pretty cool. She got it.
Catholics don't get in trouble for praying for mean things.
Yeah, it's in the Bible.
Yeah.
Their God is mean.
Sometime later, Stephen listened to his footsteps echoing down the hall as he walked toward Lila. She was leaning with her shoulder up against the wall and her face was in shadow. There was a thick, heavy lump of dread in Stephen's chest. Lila looked so frail and alone. How was he going to tell her that he thought they should break up? The second half of the game was about to kick off, and the hallways had emptied. As Stephen leaned on the wall facing Lila, the school was a vacuum of silence.
Why are they in the school during halftime? What's happening? in the school hallway during halftime.
It's just a place to be alone.
Oh, I thought that was
Dramatic lighting in there at that time. Let me tell you that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where all the students have their serious conversations and
I think that's
breakups.
where Jessica and Elizabeth sent them. Like, I have to talk to you. Meet me in the whatever.
But he said the hallways had emptied
Oh.
because halftime was almost over.
Oh. What?
I don't
It
know.
implies they were there. I don't know.
The emergency
our
lights
school's
flickered
football-
off of her killer highlight game.
Our school's football field was like a half a mile away from our actual school. Like it was, well, I don't know, not half a mile away.
I
It was a trek.
do not know where the football field in my high school was because I never went to a game ever.
Yeah.
So I have
I
absolutely
don't remember
no clue
seeing one when
where
we drove
they.
around there.
Well, there I know where like the new one is, but like that didn't happen until I was almost graduated high school. So like the whole time I was in high school, they were playing football somewhere else, and then
Yeah.
they built a new football field. And who fucking cares? But yeah, I have no clue where they
We
played
had
football.
like a shitty little football. I don't know. Well, I don't know why it was shitty. We had like a little football field situation called the bowl because it was basically like there was flat ground and then it was dug into the flat ground, so it was called the bowl.
Okay.
And that's where we would like run track when we had to run on the track.
Uh-huh.
But then they would play their actual games at the community college field, which was like a little walk a ways. Maybe there wasn't seating in the bowl.
When I was in college, the football field was next to like the college housing in Owings Mills. Alex knows this, and
Did you hear football sounds?
Well, no, we
the
never
Ravens
heard football
Training
sounds,
Center.
but yeah, it used to be
yeah.
the Ravens training
Yeah.
field, and then they sold it to the school. So that was like that was a big like bragging point for
Yeah.
the school. Was like, we get to play on where the fucking
We get the Ravens
play.
use shit, aren't we
Yeah.
dope?
You could feel the spirit of their football energy seeping through
it's
the
like
ground.
Ray Lewis is here looking at me.
Yeah.
That was when I made coffee every day for their coach,
Brian Billick.
Brian Billick. Thank you, Brian Billick. It's very
On
nice.
the off chance a new listener is starting with this episode, a lot of us live in Baltimore.
It's true.
Wait, did
Hello,
he finish
Lila.
that sentence?
Yeah,
Oh.
he said it weird. He was like,
Oh.
Silence.
I thought it was all a joke. I didn't realize some of it was from.
Also, the writing
Oh.
is so awkward that it's damn near impossible to tell unless you like really look for that punctuation.
Truly.
Alrighty. Hello, Lila, Stephen said quietly. Hi. Lila gave him a tight little smile. Stephen watched. Nice. Stephen watched as she shifted from one foot to the other. Her eyes were trained at the floor. She must be feeling uncomfortable because she hasn't heard from me, Stephen figured. He decided the only gentlemanly thing to do was to try to lighten the mood. How's it going?
By dumping her.
you want to hear
Lighten
nothing?
the mood
Cheer
by
up a
asking an
little,
open-ended
then
question.
Yeah.
Although Stephen tried for a light, easy tone, his voice came out a little brittle. Not a good start, Stephen thought. It's going fine, Lila answered. Considering I'm the #1 criminal in Sweet Valley and my house is a wreck and my parents are AWOL and some psycho is out to get me, Lila actually started to laugh, easing the tension slightly. How's everything going with you, Stephen? Oh, this is... Okay, this is actually slightly more lively writing than I recall from the last one. All right. Stephen grinned. Couldn't be better. I lost my job and the DA's office thinks I'm an accessory to a crime. Oh yeah, since I didn't finish my internship, I'll probably flunk out this semester. How could anyone top that? The two of them cracked up. Great team, aren't we?
Jesus Christ.
Are they in any way a team?
They are a couple.
Yeah.
And some people say couples are a team.
I was gonna say
All right,
in that
fair
way
enough.
that like
Okay.
couples will be like, we're a good
As
team.
the only unmarried person here.
I think it means more like because they like he was working on our case.
Okay, that makes more sense.
I assume it's not like she's paying him though. Like,
In sex.
Oh, well, would you pay an intern?
of course not.
What a laughable idea.
Oh, it's only illegal not to pay interns, but it's all we ever do.
Yeah.
You pay them in experience and exposure, Alex. It is invaluable.
Oh no, this was the
Invaluable meaning.
90s. This was the 90s. Exposure wasn't a currency yet.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, it was just experience.
They hadn't figured out how to exploit people that much.
Stephen said after a moment, I think we've been good for each other, don't you? Lila took a deep breath. Stephen, about us being a great team. When the whole business with the fire and my arrest happened, I was desperate to get to the next page.
I'm trying.
For a friend, and you were there. I can't tell you how much it meant to me.
Oh, Stephen. Lila looked into Stephen's eyes for a moment, and he felt a quick, sharp pang in his heart. He keeled over. He was painfully aware of her beauty, and the fact that she
was
still...
pangfully aware of her beauty.
Jesus Christ. Oh, yes. And the fact that she still relied on him. More than anything, he still wanted to protect her. That's a good... It seems like a good dynamic. Stephen felt his sense of dread start to grow. The poor girl had fallen so hard for him. You're giving yourself a lot of credit.
Where dick can suck itself.
But we just are right for each other, Stephen told himself firmly. He still cared for her, and he fully intended to clear her name. How? But leading her on would be cruel. He was just going to have to let her down easily. Well, here goes nothing. Lila, Wait, Stephen, Lila interrupted. Let me finish. She looked into his eyes for a moment, then looked away. When we met, I was on the rebound from Bo.
Bo.
And you were on the rebound from Billy. Bo and Billy. Wow.
Bo and Billy.
She touched Stephen's arm gently.
Hot.
Then we found each other. Stephen swallowed. Gulp! Where is she going with this? Without your support, Lila continued earnestly, I didn't think I could have gotten through the last few weeks. Knowing you believed in me gave me strength. The knot in Stephen's stomach twisted again. I still believe you're innocent, Lila. Oh, hang on. I still believe you're innocent, Lila. Stephen said miserably. Miserably.
Jesus. Ooh, good. I get the breakup.
Breakup page.
He was feeling worse and worse. The girl had given him her heart, and now he'd have to break it. He despised the thought of hurting her. Lila, I don't know how to tell you this, he began. Stop, Lila said sharply. I'm sorry, Stephen, but I think we got into this too fast. We needed each other for the wrong reasons. Lila shrugged. I think we got involved before we really knew each other. We're really not anything alike. I'm attracted to you, but it would never work in the long run. Please try to understand.
We're from two different worlds.
From two different worlds.
I'm upper class and you are upper middle class.
I want one of them to reach out and put their finger on the other one's mouth.
Yeah. Stephen's heart raced. He didn't know whether to be shocked or psyched.
Psyched.
Huh? He blurted. Are you saying you don't want to see me anymore? Lila's shoulders sagged. I feel terrible, but it's the best thing. It really is. The life you want is different from the life I want. I'm sorry. You've been so good to me. I hate to hurt you. Stephen searched for something to say, but the first thing that came to his mind was hooray.
Oh my God. What if say it. Say it.
Say hooray.
Say it out loud.
Somehow it just didn't seem like the right sentiment for the moment. I like whoever's writing this part of the book.
Yeah.
When Lila looked at Stephen, her eyes were glistening with tears. I guess I noticed our differences, but I never really thought about them until I read that letter you left in my locker.
Oh, shit. Yes. Yes. Also, this has never happened to me, where, like, you want to break up with...
siblings, like, faked letters to get you to break up with someone? That's never happened to me either.
It's not that relatable.
A single time.
I've never been in the situation where, like, I wanted to break up with somebody and then, like, they broke up with me, so it was a relief. Or you know, I've never been in that situation, but, like, I can only imagine how awesome that must be. Like, that has to be, like, the coolest
It's awesome
feeling.
until you realize you were only in that position because I was a coward.
I can live with that, though.
All right. Letter? Stephen whispered. What was she talking about? I'm flattered that you care for me so much, Lila continued, as if she hadn't heard him. You'll get over it, though understandably it will probably take some time. Lila? Stephen attempted to interrupt, but she just kept going. I mean, when I read how you can't wait for us to have a little house full of babies and dogs, I knew we were all wrong for each other. Lila, Stephen blurted. She stopped short and stared at him wide-eyed, as if she couldn't believe that he'd dare interrupt her. Stephen's eyes narrowed. What letter are you talking about? He asked. Lila blinked rapidly. Blink, 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 blink. What do you mean? What letter? I'm talking about the letter you left in my locker a few days ago. The one where you said you couldn't wait until I finished high school so we could be together. The one that talked about backyard barbecues and measly little DA salaries.
The twins had to know this was a possibility.
I mean, they're teenagers. They are dumb.
One of them's smarter.
I think, but they are twins.
It's true.
Let's remember that about twins.
What does that mean?
They have some similarities. Maybe their similarity is they're both dumb. All right. You and your twin similarity is that if I ever got jumped, I would like both of you in my corner. I feel like both of you could fuck someone up.
Oh, hell yeah.
That is flattering and
I agree.
accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell her that, and she's going to love it, too.
Not
Good
for
save,
nothing.
Chris.
It would be
Good
a
save.
little hot. God.
What happened to you last night?
Nailed
I got
it.
beat up by twins.
Each one shorter than the other, but man, were they ferocious.
Shorter than the other. But man, they could windmill those arms.
Also, remember, I'm a twin. The other
Only
one just didn't make it.
Well, yeah. You just happened to eat the other one.
Well, in the eyes of Republicans, that was a whole other person that never made it out of the womb.
Fair.
So does that mean you have to go to jail?
In the eyes of Republicans.
They can't prove anything. I like to think it was like a, for lack of a better term, Mexican knife fight where the umbilical cords were wrapped around our hands, and then we were stabbing each other with the other hands, like in West Side Story.
See, I was thinking Mexican knife fight because, like, maybe your mom ate nachos, and so that you each had like a tortilla chip.
That's
You could call it a
amazing.
That's
Missouri
how
duel.
wombs work, right? Food just
You
goes
could
straight
call
to
it a
the-
Missouri duel to be less racist, but nobody knows that term, so it doesn't act.
All right.
Oh my God.
All right. The yada yada yada. DA salaries. Stephen knitted his brows. The only letter I know of is the one you left in my mailbox, he said slowly. Huh? Now Lila
That
was
joke
obviously
only for me. It was so
confused.
sad. Oh, you have video? You'll have to put that
I
in.
just did an incredibly visual joke.
You were the one who said you couldn't wait until you finished high school so we could be together, Stephen reminded her. You talked about the places we'd go and the parties we'd give. You laid out your whole future.
Frankly, Lila, it sounded like you had us walking down the aisle. I don't get it, Lila said. I never sent you a letter. Are you playing some kind of game with me? No game. Stephen reached into the pocket of his jacket and pulled out the folded letter. I was going to give this back to you. He handed it to Lila. Lila
Why
held
would
the
she
paper
want that
between.
back?
Right? Here's the
She gonna
shitty letter
fucking
you wrote
frame
me.
it? This is the letter I got back the day my boyfriend dumped
I
me.
call this Exhibit A.
I'm a lawyer.
Yeah.
Is he John Mulaney now?
Apparently. Lila held the paper between two fingers and studied it as if it were a biology lab specimen. The stationery is so cheap, Lila exclaimed.
Who could ever believe
I would-
this was from me?
I would never buy anything like this.
Lila!
Holy shit. That's awesome.
You know something? I'm inclined to believe her. She popped open her
She's
purse
consistent.
and pulled out an open letter, which she handed over to Stephen. It just so happens I was going to give this back to you. Each of them unfolded their sheet of paper and began to read. A moment later, they looked at each other open
You
mouth.
put yours on the floor and kick it over to me. And then I'll kick mine over to you.
Why were they going to give each
All right,
other
we're gonna back
letters
away.
back?
They're just being careful.
We're gonna back away slowly.
They're just being careful because we all know the pen is mightier than the sword.
It's like I brought you some of your stuff, except it's just the letter.
Except I
It's a letter that I
suspected
hated.
it wasn't
I
really
hated.
yours.
I want to keep your sweatshirt, but take this fucking letter back.
I just want to give back to you the reason we're breaking up.
Oh man, I don't know. Oh, that's good.
I never wrote this, Lila sputtered. I figured you didn't, Stephen said. Which is
Just now.
Did you?
Just now he did.
I just
I
figured
don't-
it out. You didn't write it.
Yeah. Lila, what I was
I
trying to
believed
tell
her
you.
when she said she doesn't buy that kind of shitty stationery. I don't believe him now. All right. I'm keeping score, guys. He stood next to Lila and looked over her shoulder, holding his letter next to her. Immediately, he knew for sure that they'd been had, and he had a feeling he knew who was behind the scheme.
Of
Check
course.
it out, Stephen said. Both letters were printed on a computer. And don't you think it's a little strange that our signatures are so similar? Lila
Wait, so
studied the
was
bottoms.
there a wet signature after the printed letter?
What the fuck year is this?
Okay, so these were computer printed letters, but with a hand
Yes.
signature at the
Yeah.
bottom. Okay.
You know, like an
Very
Adobe document.
Or like a contract?
Yeah. Oh my god.
Lila studied the bottoms of the letters. I
you
don't
dumb
believe
bitches.
I didn't notice it before, Lila exclaimed suddenly.
That's Jessica's handwriting. No guy would ever write like that, with the little hearts over the eyes. She might as well have done. I was way too fast.
They
with that
could
joke.
have
You preempted the
stolen a
test
sample
so,
of each
so
other's
well.
handwriting and traced over it or something.
Yeah. Do some actual DA work.
Yeah.
She might. No guy would ever write like that. She might as well have dotted the I with a little heart.
Oh, geez.
I know.
Did you write this book?
Apparently, an angry blush was rising on Lila's cheeks, and Stephen had to swallow a laugh. Take it easy, Lila, Stephen said, placing his hands on her shoulders and forcing her to look at him. Jesus. And don't just blame Jessica either. I have a feeling that both of them were in on this. You think Liz?
I was really hoping, kind of, that he would only blame Jessica and be like, Elizabeth, stop trying to take the fall. I
Yeah.
know it was only
One
her.
of my sisters is way above this.
Yeah.
Look, only one of you killed squirrels as a child.
Only one of you is capable of this kind of treachery. You think Liz would do something this dishonest? Lila asked incredulously. Think about it, Stephen said. She is the writer in the family. Well, if she did, Jessica definitely talked her into it. Lila took a deep breath. And to
She's the
think-
writer. She's the evil one.
Yeah, she's the brains and she's the wild card. Lila took a deep breath. And to think that girl had me convinced she wanted to be friends again. She probably does, Stephen said with a smile. She just has a bizarre way of showing it.
Don't cross her.
Please don't, please. Too many have. True, Lila said. That's Jessica, I guess. She let out a slight giggle. Oh, Jessica. You sociopath. Stephen was glad the mood had lightened again.
You know what I want to happen now? You have to move your drink out of gesturing distance from my hand.
Okay,
'cause
yes.
I'm
You're
too
just
excitable.
yeah.
You know what I want to happen now is
Yes.
for Stephen and Lila to pull a prank
Yes.
on the twins and have like a
Yes.
fake fucking wedding in their backyard.
Yes.
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 God, I hope that happens.
Oh. Is this book about to get good?
I hope so.
Fuck
You know
me.
what,
was
Bekah?
so
I
boring.
think me and you are on the same page.
Look a book.
Because the book, okay.
Because Stephen was glad the mood had lightened again. They still had some unfinished business to take care of. Lila, about what you were saying before, Stephen said tentatively. Oh, Stephen, Lila said. Liz and Jessica were right about one thing. We are completely wrong for each other. We could have written those letters. I guess? I don't know.
They weren't too far off, I guess.
Stephen chuckled. You're right, he said, glancing at the one signed from him.
Except for this part about me wanting a white picket fence. They know I'm not that cheesy.
I want a black picket fence.
And who on earth is F. Lee Bailey anyway? Lila asked, glancing at her own letter in confusion.
I had to look that one up too, Lila.
Yeah, Lila wouldn't fucking know that.
I had to Wikipedia who the fuck F. Lee Bailey was.
Stephen clapped a hand
Hey,
over
yo,
his mouth.
F. Lee Bailey.
Stephen clapped a hand over his mouth to keep from cracking up. What? Lila demanded indignantly. Am I supposed to know who he is? Never mind, Stephen said between fits of laughter.
Had O.J. Simpson happened when this book was written?
I don't remember when it came out.
It was like somewhere in 94.
Possible.
Okay.
I
It's
feel like-
possible.
I don't remember. Well, maybe I'll just wash my hands of all you Wakefield people, Lila said, placing her hands on her hips. I cannot believe that Jessica did this to me. Can't you, though?
I was going to say, washing your hands of all the Wakefields is very smart.
Yeah. Stephen controlled his laughter and looked Lila in the eyes. The girl had a right to be mad, and come to think of it, so did he. Even though his darling sisters had turned out to be right about him and Lila, where did they get off messing around in his love life? You know what? Stephen said, please let this happen.
Yes.
Wrapping a friendly arm around Lila's slim shoulders. You're not the only one who's been duped here. The question is, what are we going to do about it?
Yes.
Why, Stephen Wakefield? Lila purred jokingly. Are we talking
Purred.
about revenge?
Oh,
With a capital R, Stephen answered, like a cool guy.
Oh,
like
shit.
a fucking such a cool guy.
And then
He's a
Lila
guy.
said, we should firebomb them.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, is this... Oh,
What?
they're fighting fire with fire. The title was a misdirect.
Oh, Mr.
The
X.
title was a misdirect.
It was one of them, their double entendres.
They're fighting fire with fire, except there also happens to be fire arson in the book, but that's
Fire arson.
it's not literal fire. What
Just
the fuck?
fire pranking.
We just broke Alex.
Fire pranking. That's definitely what a public defender for an arsonist would say.
Fire prank.
Your Honor, it was just a
fire
simple
prank.
fire prank.
Yeah, it was just
All right.
it was just a simple fire prank.
No one got seriously burned. That made Becca laugh really hard from the hallway. I just want everyone to know.
All right. Chapter 10. Devon could hear the rousing beat of the marching band as he walked behind the crowd of kids from the Explorer. A girl with straight red hair kept turning around to check him out, so
Yeah.
Devon kept his hands stuffed in his pockets and his eyes trained on the field. Play it cool and aloof, Devon. Cool and aloof. He didn't want to catch her eye because she looked like the bubbly type who might introduce herself and demand information. That's right, Devon. Worst case, they introduce themselves.
That's right, Devin. Be suspicious of everyone.
Right now, Devon just wanted to blend in. As he approached the field, Devon could see a line of majorettes prancing off toward the sidelines, waving
is a
to the
majorette?
crowd. I have no idea. It might be a color guard.
Okay, I'm looking it up.
I guess it's nice to know some things never change, he thought, just as long as it's not all the same. He glanced at the scoreboard and noticed there were a couple of minutes left before the second half began.
While he was debating whether he should join the crowd in the stands or find a less cramped place to take in the game, two little kids ran by him carrying hot dogs and sodas. Devon's stomach rumbled. First things first, he thought. He turned and headed for the concession stand. All right, I like this guy's priorities.
Yeah, gotta
too.
get me a glizzy.
Can you bring me alcohol also? Oh, that's fine. A majorette is a performer who combines baton twirling with dance movements primarily associated with marching bands during parades.
Color guard.
Oh, they may alternatively spin flags, fire batons. Is it a baton
What?
that's on fire?
Yeah.
That's cool. Maces or rifles. Maces? Like the stick with the ball and the spikes?
Well, like, I don't know about maces, but I know like soldiers like twirling them guns around
Oh yeah, when they're like
for show.
"Sir, ha!" and then they go like That's my impression of one of them.
Yeah.
Sounded about right to me.
We've all seen Stripes.
Oh, I'm bringing it back to Al Pacino.
There you go.
All right, toss your batons when I say hooah.
That's the thing. Al Pacino's the one that's giving them the directions. Like,
We have no desire of going to this concession stand, do we?
Let's go there.
When are they going to get to the fireworks factory?
Help me. Tell me about the concession stand, Alex.
As he joined the line and listened to the fragments of conversation around him, I can't believe she actually wore it. It's the coolest set of wheels. You're kidding. So then I said to him, no way, you must be kidding. It had been a long time since he'd been surrounded by such easy conversation. Devon felt his shoulders start to relax as he inched forward in line. After ordering...
Growing up, all I ever heard is the boy watching? The boy's not in the room, is he?
That's not where that knife goes. That's all he ever heard.
My biggest regret was the boy.
Go back to playing with your marbles. Play with your marbles. All right. After ordering...
Why are you bothering me? I gave you a stick and hoop.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, God. There's so many fun ways to express uneasy conversation. Not easy conversation. Not used to this easy conversation. After ordering, Devon carried his hot dog and drink down to the sidelines, away from the bleachers. There were a few other people standing there who, for the most part, looked like reporters and photographers. Yeah, they belong there. Devon fit right in with them. He had grown used to being an observer during the past few weeks and figured he'd be joining the rest of the students soon enough. Monday, in fact. Thank you for the specificity. Mm-hmm. A huge roar.
Wait, hang on a second, Devon. Do you think you can just start school on Monday?
Yeah, he hasn't even enrolled yet.
Is he just going to show up and be like, excuse me, principal?
I go here now. Jinx! I can't lift my arm up.
Oh, right. Jinx.
A huge roar went up from the home bleachers as the gladiators took the field. Devon decided to trash his Devon decided to trash his empty can and napkin before the game got started, and he looked around for a trash can.
As he turned, a flash of blonde hair caught his eye. Which one's it going to be? Which of the twins? And Devon's heart stopped. He was looking at the most beautiful girl he had ever seen.
Oh, dream weaver.
And then he went,
I can't wait to go to Sweet Valley High.
He went, showing.
Auga.
She looks like an angel. Hooah, Devon thought. She was wearing a pale yellow sundress and was laughing as she talked to a friend. Devon followed her with his eyes as she climbed the steps to the bleachers. It wasn't just...
I wonder what the scent of that woman is.
Jesus fucking
That's what he says in the movie, right?
Yeah, that's that whole movie.
I got a new number one for dumbest joke I've ever made.
All he does is repeat, I wonder what the scent of that woman is. Yeah. And then they go for a ride in the car where the blind man is the driver. That's the whole movie.
That's the whole movie. I want there to be a part in this book where someone's like, two people are arguing and they look to him and he says, look, I'm just devil's advocate.
Look, I know I have no say in raising the boy, but seeing as how I am his godfather.
Part 3. Oh boy. It wasn't just her beauty that kept Devon's attention. Feeling a lot of
heat in here right now.
she went her way through the crowd. We finally found a way to make this book interesting, and it's by doing Al Pacino jokes and impressions
in a way that only us will find funny.
Yes. It wasn't just her beauty that kept Devon's attention as she wove her way through the crowd, waving to various people. She looked so sweet and pure and natural. Exactly Devon's type? Okay.
Oh, is it Elizabeth? Or is he just really bad at reading people and it's Jessica?
That's what I want to know. That's what I think it is. Half dazed.
And confused. I wasn't in that one, but it was good.
Fucking Christ. I know Ben Affleck. Half dazed, Devon slowly started to walk toward the stands. He couldn't lose this girl in the crowd before he found out who she was. He was just about to start up the steps when two insanely huge guys in varsity basketball jackets stepped in front of him, blocking his view. They were Hulks.
Holy shit, how's he going to react when he realizes there's two of them?
Oh, you mean the twins?
Yeah.
I thought you meant the two huge guys.
No,
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
No, like he's already obsessed, but like when there's two of them.
I'm seeing double here.
He's gonna. I'm seeing double here. 4 crusties. Devon craned his neck and caught a final fleeting glimpse of the girl's beautiful hair before she vanished from view completely. With a sigh of regret, Devon sat down at the far end of the bleachers, but he knew all was not lost. This school didn't seem to be that big. He would just track her down on Monday and find out everything he could about her. This is creepy already.
Really good top priority for starting a new school.
Yeah.
Is stalking someone you saw for 2 seconds.
I saw a pretty blonde, by the way, on Friday. Do you guys know who she is? A pretty blonde? A blonde.
Or a good distraction from the anxiety of starting a new school.
Don't be on his side.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Jesus Christ! God damn it! Fuck you. You piece of shit.
Oh, it fell right in my lap. And I took it and I cherished it.
Yeah. Devon looked at the smiling couples he saw all around him. He couldn't even remember the last time he'd been on a date. Finding a girlfriend had never been first on his priority list. Not when parents' love was absent his entire life.
First step to
just
starting
sat
a
in his
new
room and
school.
Thought about Nana.
Oh, God.
Well, Nana is definitely at the top of his priority list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Devon furrowed his brow. Most of the girls back home had only been interested in his looks and his money. Again, you're in California. What do you think is going to be different about that?
Holy shit, yeah.
A picture of the girl in the pale yellow dress flashed before his mind's eye. She had seemed so natural and carefree. Surely she wasn't as superficial as the Connecticut society girls he had come in contact with. A rowdy group of younger kids crowded into the space next to him, and Devon began to feel closed in. This guy needs some medication.
Like, he needs to see, like, a military therapist.
He's got so much trauma.
Yeah.
He stood and started to wander along the sidelines. He glanced over his shoulder one last time to see if he could catch another glimpse of the blonde girl. His heart was still pounding from the sight of her, and his palms were even sweating. But there was no finding her among the sea of faces. Give me a G! Devon was startled by a cheer rising up from the track around the football field.
God, Devon!
It feels like it's the ceiling fan helicopter blades.
They're shouting in unison.
Yeah. He's going to have a full-blown panic attack.
Oh
He had to find Colonel Kurtz.
Yeah. He glanced over at the cheerleaders as the fans responded enthusiastically. There were a bunch of beautiful girls bouncing in red and white miniskirts. Devon scanned them quickly. Not bad, but none of them could compare to... Wait a minute. One of the two girls cheering her heart out in front of the rest of the squad was the girl who'd caught his heart just minutes earlier. That was a quick change of clothes, Devon thought.
Well, here we go.
Oh, shit. This book got so good so quickly.
It did.
Yeah.
Why did it make us tread water for so long?
I don't know.
We should just start skipping the middle 4 chapters of a Sweet Valley book.
I can't imagine it would make any difference.
It would not. They literally rehashed the same shit for, literally 4 chapters.
Oh
my God.
Sorry, I'm sleepy.
What could you be yawning at?
Had he been daydreaming longer than he realized? Was there a secret changing room for cheerleaders under the bleachers? That all makes way more sense than the concept of twins.
Yeah. I at first I was like, oh, he's acting so creepy, like seeing a girl and being like, oh, she's so beautiful, I'm obsessed with her. But then I was just remembering how like I was as a teenager, and I'm like, actually, this is really on point. And it made me think of this. I can't remember if I've told this story on the podcast before, but there was a time when I was probably like 18 or 19, and I was doing this internship at my company my brother worked at, and they sold like these books that go in hotels. And there was this day where there had
Did
been
they
like
fire you because the girl you were dating tried to steal books from the hotels?
I wasn't dating anybody, Chris. I was not dating a person.
Just trying to make it relevant to the book.
No,
Did they fire you
I'm
because
getting
you
there.
firebombed a restaurant and you worked too hard to solve the case?
I didn't get fired. Although, well, yeah, it was an internship. I'm sorry. So there was a day where I came in and they were like, you have to go, you have to drive to Pennsylvania to pick up these books from this hotel and drive them over to this other hotel and drop them off and then back again because like they got mixed up. And it was like, I can't do that because my car is a 1981 Volkswagen and we'll die. I cannot drive to Pennsylvania. So they were like, oh, just take the boss's car. And it was like, I don't know, it was like a Mercedes or something. It was a boss in Annapolis's car. So it was a fancy car. And I was in stop and go traffic, and I looked over and I just like saw a pretty girl in a car next to me, and I was just staring at her and let my foot go off the brake, and I just fucking bumped into the car in front of me because I was staring at a strange girl. And nothing happened.
Was there damage on the car?
There was no one even got out to like say like, hey, what did you do? Because it really was just like a boom. But yeah. I was like, there was a moment where I literally, my heart did completely stop. But that is how stupid teenage boys are.
My life is over.
Yeah.
I get it, but just the like, well, and of course, just like the high school, I have a crush on someone I'm getting so worked up about and we've never spoken. Uh-huh. But the seeing someone for maybe 3 seconds total and thinking, well, when I'm in school on Monday, I'll just find out everything I can about her.
That is creepy. That's creepy.
The part
that's
that
the part
bothers
that's creepy.
me.
Yes. Yeah. Not the looking at a stranger being like, a beautiful creature. Oh, I must see her. Yeah, I wasn't thinking like, how can I?
If you would like follow,
can I follow her? Yeah. See where she's going. Excuse me, miss.
Right. I have a good feeling about my page. I'm going to ad-lib nothing.
Cool.
Okay.
The girl finished up the cheer by executing a series of high jumps. Her cheeks were bright, and he could practically feel the energy radiating from her body.
Which cheeks?
Who cares how she changed
Both
into
cheeks.
her uniform so quickly, he thought. All he cared about was that now he'd be able to watch her throughout the game. What a heavenly thought. Still, he had to admit that he liked the pale yellow dress more than the cheerleading uniform. He stared at her smiling face as she launched into another cheer, and then Devon's mind started to drift.
Is Jessica a cheerleader?
He imagined
probably.
Okay.
He imagined it was his first day of classes at Sweet Valley High. He didn't know anyone in school, but all day long he kept seeing that blonde girl. She was wearing that same sundress, and every time he looked her way, he'd see her looking back at him and smiling. Devon let himself dive further into the fantasy. The girl was in his last class.
I'm
After
on
the
his
final
side
bell,
with like preferring a sundress over a cheerleader's uniform.
After the final bell, the two of them lingered until there was no one else in the room. Then, just as she was about to leave, Devon stepped in front of her. "Wait," he'd say. "I think we should talk." The girl wouldn't say anything for a moment. She had just a hint of shyness about her. Then she'd look at him from under her long lashes and say, "I've been hoping you'd come to me." Then he'd walk the girl to her locker, but they wouldn't talk very much. They wouldn't need to.
The electricity between them would say everything they needed to know.
This is so awesome.
Oh,
They'd
God.
make a date for that night. He'd pick her up at her house. Then she'd sit behind him on his motorcycle and clasp her hands lightly around his waist.
Mm-hmm.
He'd feel the softness of her body pressed against him and feel her breath on his ear. They'd roar
Gross.
off into the night, the skirt of her pale yellow dress whipping behind her.
Yada, yada, yada.
All right, breaking out of the fantasy, the fans roared, and Devon was shaken out of his daydream. He watched his dream girl as she led the rest of the team in a quick dance combination. You don't know who I am, Devon said quietly, but you will be mine. Okay,
Oh,
well,
yes.
that's the worst.
She will
That's
be
the
mine.
worst thing he said so far.
Terrifying.
Lila took Steven's hand.
I'll buy you if I have to.
All right, cross-cutting back over to Lila and Steven here. Lila took Steven's hand as they left the school building. Just being friendly, she said with a wink that held a hint of flirtation, only a hint. Maybe we aren't being quite friendly enough, Steven said as he slipped an arm around her shoulders.
Jeez.
That's weird.
Oh,
I can't wait to
his
see
siblings
Jessica's
have
face.
awakened something in the both of them. Wait, this is hot. Lying to my siblings about us even being together. Oh no.
I can't wait to see Jessica's face and Elizabeth's when they see us together, Lila said with a laugh. They're going to go ballistic, Steven said. It'll drive them absolutely crazy to think their nasty little plan backfired. It's perfect. He began leaning closer to Lila. Maybe we should even kiss, he said with a mischievous twinkle in his
Nice
eye.
try, Steven.
What do you think?
Maybe we should kiss me kiss you.
Maybe we should
you.
kiss. Lila pushed him away playfully. Suddenly, her heart clenched and she keeled over. The smile vanished from her face. Oh, Stephen, she breathed hoarsely. Hey, let me do that again. Oh, Stephen, she breathed hoarsely, backing away.
I'm hearing it more as like a, oh, Stephen.
Oh, Stephen, she breathed hoarsely.
Heavens to Murgatroyd!
Backing away from him, she felt the color drain from her face and her whole body trembled. It's him! Stephen froze. Lila saw an uncomprehending look come over his face. It's John Pheifer Mellencamp, she whispered, nodding towards the bushes at the side of the building. He's following us. No sooner were the words out of her mouth than there was a rustling in the bushes. John turned and bolted.
No, I'm not. And then he ran away.
Yeah, penis in hand. You go to the bleachers, Stephen told Lila in a low voice. I'm going to turn the tables and follow him. He whirled around and took off after John, who was rounding the side of the building. Hold it, Pheifer! Stephen yelled as he ran.
Jesus.
John didn't even flinch.
Wait, so John was literally in the bushes?
Yes, literally in the bushes. Oh,
If I catch you, I'm going to pound your kidneys till you piss blood, Pheifer.
But what soda was he drinking in the bushes?
Pro Sport Lemon. A white-hot flash of rage surged through Lila's veins. She was tired of being afraid of John Pheifer Mellencamp, tired of looking over her shoulder every 15 minutes. It was time to confront him. Lila ran after Stephen. Her heart pounded in her chest from nervousness, and her lungs felt hot, as if they were about to burst from the effort of keeping up with Stephen and John. As she rounded the side of the school after them, she had a knife-edged stab of intuition that John... Stab. Sorry, I think I burped while I was saying that. She had a... But a knife-edged stab. That's a phrase you use.
Oh, that's some bad writing. Oh, that's some bad writing.
If she gets stabbed on the next page...
Fine.
But a knife-edged.
Knife-edged, you're already taking a metaphor that didn't work a little too far.
You could say like a razor-sharp stab of intuition. I'd accept that.
I'm predicting she gets stabbed on the next page.
She had a knifey stabby stab of intuition that John had been planning something horrible, and that there was something darker and more terrifying lurking inside him than she could possibly imagine. Was he going to firebomb the football game?
I was just going to say that.
Fucking shit.
Lila saw John's athletic form up ahead. I was not picturing him athletic.
Oh, I was picturing like a little weedy guy running.
Yeah. Clad in white jeans, sneakers, and a striped shirt.
That's not how you sneak in bushes.
Yeah.
Also, like, white jeans are not what you wear to sneak through foliage.
That's what I was just saying.
Also, his jeans were too white. Suddenly,
He's gonna get grass stains all over those jeans when Steven tackles him.
Stephen
As soon as he
lurched.
goes home, it's gonna be like, "What were you doing earlier?" It's like, "Not sneaking through bushes."
This fuckwit's mom. This poor lady still does this asshole's laundry.
Oh, 100%.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Oh man.
Suddenly, Stephen
John
lurched.
Pfeiffer Mellencamp, how many times do I have to tell you? Don't sneak through bushes.
Black jeans when you're going to go on a sneaking mission.
The amount
That's
of
her.
money
There
this household spends
She
on bleach.
is. There it is. There she is.
Suddenly, Stephen lurched forward and
Heavens
tackled
to
John to the
Murgatroyd.
asphalt. There was a horrible scraping sound, and Lila stopped and let out a squeal. The two boys scuffled for a moment, but then John kicked Stephen away and wrestled himself free. Was that the squeal?
It was something.
Okay.
That was
It's
the
a-
sound of the wrestling.
It took a moment for Stephen to get back on his feet. John glanced over his shoulder once and took off again, heading around the front of the gym. "Don't let him get away," Lila yelled. Stephen finally stood and ran after John, but his pace was slower this time. Why? Come on, Stephen. Get your shit together.
Right?
Lila was
This is
able...
why it was important that we mentioned John's athletic form a minute ago.
True. Lila was able to catch up to him, and she jogged along at his side. "Where did he go?" Stephen asked between gasps. How bad of shape is Stephen in?
He was interning at the DA's office. That's not a very
He's
Less
just
good than John. That's the important
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You just gotta outrun the guy you're with, not the bear.
Yes.
Look, if you're a firebombing stalker, you keep in shape.
Okay. I was going to make a joke about Stephen, but I don't feel like it anymore.
What? No, I want to
Where
hear
did he
it.
go? Stephen asked between gasps. Around the front, Lila answered with effort. "We can't let him get to the parking lot." "Why?" "If he gets away, we'll never prove he was spying on us." "You still won't, because he'll still say he wasn't spying on you."
Yeah, you have no proof.
Grabbing her hand, he pulled her around the corner. Lila looked up and skidded to a stop. John Pheifer was standing less than 3 yards away. Lila stifled a gasp. John's eyes were wild and red. Sweat poured from his temples down his face, and his shirt clung to his body. What the fuck? He was shaking violently.
Somebody already got to him and pounded his kidneys till he
Yeah.
pissed blood.
He was currently pissing blood all over his white pants.
Oh, God. His white pants.
He was shaking violently, and his back was pinned up against the gym wall.
What?
His hands were clasped behind him. "Don't come any closer," John screamed. "He's coming." "Calm down, John," Stephen spoke in a firm voice. He took a step toward him. "Stop right there, Wakefield," John hissed. His eyes darted around as if he had no control over them. Then suddenly John focused his gaze on Lila. His eyes seemed to bore through her. She lifted her chin and forced herself to return his stare. Lila shuddered at the look in his eyes. They were a terrifying swirl of hatred, darkness, and insanity.
What?
She had seen that look once before, the night he had tried to rape her, which I imagine was knowledge from the previous book that we did not read.
Okay.
John shifted his gaze to Stephen. He did not want to rape Stephen. And Lila's knees went weak with relief. She couldn't have kept up her false courage much longer. "You're the real take charge type, aren't you?" John said to Stephen, his lip curled into a grim smile. "Well, you're through giving orders. I'm in charge now." Lila gasped as John turned slightly to show them what he had been holding behind his back. She realized immediately that it was a bomb, and not just a soda can bomb either.
Ooh.
The thing was huge, made from a thick piece of pipe. Fragments of rags and a short fuse protruded from one end.
What
Yikes.
Yeah, bro.
fuck is... This took a hard
a
left
turn.
turn. Damn.
Lila felt as if all the wind had been knocked out of her. If Stephen hadn't grabbed her and pulled her backward, she didn't think she would have been capable of moving.
I knew it, Lila thought. You completely psycho. Don't do anything foolish, Stephen said quietly. Foolish, John echoed. An eerie laugh erupted from his lips. Then he turned to Lila, his face full of fury. You're the one who did something foolish, Lila, he growled. I cared for you. All I wanted was for you to love me. Instead, you destroyed me. After you told everyone I tried to rape you, I was an outcast, and it was a lie. His voice rose steadily until he was shrieking. No,
they
it
should really
wasn't a
put
lie.
that note at the beginning of the sentence so that you know
You
it's
really
happening when
should.
it's happening.
Yeah.
All of the needless recapping they do, but they didn't recap that about him.
Constantly, I find my brain tripping over these sentence structures. It's
It is baffling.
That's normal. That's totally normal.
Yes.
You're not weird.
I remember that from the last time.
We're all there with you.
It's a shared psychosis.
Remember, this book's to teach kids to read.
No, it wasn't a lie, Lila said in a choked voice. I wish it wasn't the truth, but it was. You attacked me. Shut up. The rage in John's face seemed to explode.
Like his
How
bomb
does the
will.
Lila did as she was told. Oh boy,
Oof.
Jesus Christ. I'll always be an outcast because of you, he said. Suddenly a sly expression slid over his features. Yes. You thought I wasn't good enough for the rich, popular, beautiful Miss Lila Fowler, he said with a twisted smile. You treated me like the dirt under your feet. I didn't mean to, John, Lila said pleadingly. I was afraid of you, that's all. Just afraid.
God.
Oh. Well, okay. That feels so much better to hear. We can just call this a day. I'll
That's
see you
definitely-
guys tomorrow.
Oh, you
Really?
were afraid of me.
Really?
Oh.
That was it. Oh, okay. Well, you guys have a great night. I'll just
As he
go.
just like kicks dust along his path along
Well, I
the
guess
way.
I'll just
Shit.
disarm this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go to the authorities tomorrow, clear up your whole firebomb thing. It'll be fine.
It was just a misunderstanding. They'll
So
understand.
sorry.
Yeah.
So sorry.
So sorry.
So
So
sorry.
sorry. So
So
sorry.
sorry. So sorry.
Well, here we go. This is a fantastic closing paragraph.
Oh boy.
John went on rambling insanely as if he hadn't heard a word she'd said.
Cool.
You treated me like garbage and you thought you had beaten me, but you were wrong. I figured out a way to get back at you. The psychotic laughter bubbled from his lips again. I'm not gonna do it.
Oh.
With the shrieking and the psychotic laughter, I'm picturing Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Oh.
At the end when he's like melting. Crazy.
like this, Eddie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty much exactly
Yeah.
what I was hearing in my head too.
That
Yeah.
traumatizing kids movie that I
Yeah.
love.
Yes.
Oh, so traumatizing. I have it on 4K. I just watched it the other night.
Nice.
Ugh,
It's
I
so
love that
good.
movie. We haven't watched it in a while. We should watch that.
Yes.
Is that a rabbit in your pocket, or are you happy to see me?
Yeah, both.
Look, John, Stephen said, inching backward and pulling Lila along. Let's just talk this out. It wasn't easy, John continued. But I made up my mind that since you had destroyed my life, I was going to destroy yours. And I'm a lot smarter than you think, Lila. I'm a lot smarter than anyone thinks. John
Smart. I can do things like everyone says.
John was staring into space now. Oh my God. Lila cast a frightened look at Stephen. She could see that the wheels were turning in his mind as he tried frantically to figure out a way out of this. They continued to inch backward. Where do we run? Lila
If
hissed.
only we had a soda to throw at him.
If we make a move, it might set him off, Stephen whispered. There's no way we could get far enough away fast enough. Lila bit her lip to keep from whimpering as Stephen's words sank in. If they couldn't get away fast enough by running, this creeping backward thing certainly wasn't going to help. Oh,
What?
if they couldn't get away fast enough by running, comma. This creeping backward thing certainly wasn't going to help.
It feels like a different person has started writing at chapter 9.
Yes. Yes. I don't want to die, Lila wailed inwardly. Not only did I burn Fowler Crest, John was saying, I made everyone think you did it, Lila. Suddenly, John fixed her with his
I hope someone has a tape recorder hidden in their pocket.
Yeah. Suddenly, John fixed her with his insane gaze.
That was
How does
adorable.
it feel to be an outcast? blast! He snarled. Lila remained silent. It was clear that John wasn't looking for an answer. You think? He merely wanted to taunt her. He was enjoying himself. Yeah,
that's what you do. You take advantage of the villain monologue.
The monologue, yeah. But also, like, it wasn't clear. It was clear he wasn't looking for an answer. Yeah, no shit. Every adjective you've used so far for him has been the word insane. He was enjoying himself. John's features went slack, as if he were an electric. Okay, that is what that word says. John's features went slack, as if he were an electric doll and someone had pulled the plug.
Not a thing. That
What's
was never
that,
a thing.
though?
You know,
The
What's that?
closest you get is
you know.
those weird animatronic people from the Duracell commercials from back in the day.
An electric
But
doll.
those don't unplug. Those had batteries.
They had batteries. That was the whole point of the commercial.
Wow. Okay.
So
I guess I just have to move on from that.
it's like a Chuck E. Cheese, band member, but you unplug them. An electric doll.
Yeah, okay. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
That part totally made me forget
Got
the
it.
rest of the
Okay.
sentence.
Now, thank you. That got me there.
So now he's just like full on
Disassociating, yes.
He spoke as if he was in a trance. I never would have imagined that I'd find fire so fascinating, he breathed.
Jesus.
The wildness, the color, the power of it. When I saw Fowler Crest go up in flames, I felt 10 feet tall. I
Why
felt
not
as
20?
if I was... It wasn't that big of a house. I felt as if I was holding the world in the palms of my hands. And then when I saw the explosion in the restaurant, for the first time in my life, I knew what it was like to really feel alive.
It was at that point that he felt 20 feet tall.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fire number 2 did it.
I just, the way he's acting and talking, don't you think anyone in his life outside of this moment recently would have been like, hey, man, you okay?
Yeah.
You seem insane.
Yeah, this definitely is not a first-time occurrence.
No.
John looked at Lila. His eyes were flat, like 2 coins resting on the surface of his face. Jesus. The emptiness.
That's like a burial ritual, right?
Yeah.
We all learned about from fucking Boondock Saints.
Yeah, yes.
for the,
Maybe it's foreshadowing
It's
that
for
he's
the
going to die.
Riverman or whatever.
The Riverman.
The boatman.
The emptiness she saw there was more frightening than the twisted
Charon.
rage she had glimpsed before. There would be no reasoning with him, she finally realized.
Oh my God.
I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory, Lila, and I'm going to take you with me. Wow, this book did get fun.
If she dies, that would be fucking...
She's not going to die.
But what if she did?
So, I hope not. He glanced at Stephen. I guess you'll be coming along too. The next few moments seemed to happen in slow motion. Lila watched John light the fuse, then turn and raise the hand that held the bomb. Lila, run! Stephen yelled. So he's just like a psycho in Borderlands. Just like a suicide psycho, just holding a bomb and
stick of
running
dynamite,
at you.
yeah.
It's got a fuse that you can watch the fuse go down in length.
Yeah.
Considering it has
Perfect.
a fuse,
Perfect.
she should have just started. They both should have started running 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Just get the fuck away.
I don't.
No, but
Yeah.
Steven knows for sure that they couldn't possibly run away far enough, fast enough.
He did have an arm that could throw it through a
They
window.
could at least run in opposite directions, and then maybe one of them would survive.
That's true.
Uh,
What they should do is wait until he throws it at them and then run towards him.
but
If
he
only
wants
they
to
had
die.
a tennis racket.
Oh.
They don't have a tennis racket.
I said that's why I said if only.
If only.
If only. Lila, run! Stephen yelled. He launched himself forward, leaping toward John. He was too late. At the same time, John pulled his arm back and hurled the flaming bomb into the air. Lila watched the thing arc ever so gracefully. The sound of breaking glass shattered the stillness. Sorry. As the bomb crashed through a window. What window? Wait, where are they? I thought
There was a moment of silence.
Just outside the school, but I don't know like if it matters where outside.
Into the school?
I thought he was going
I
to blow
thought-
them up.
Me too. I don't know.
Well, I don't know how big the radius is.
Yeah.
Stephen grabbed Lila by the arm and yelled, "Now!" Lila's feet had already started to fly over the ground. She took a single look back over her shoulder and her blood ran cold. John was standing perfectly still, grinning like a maniac as tears streamed down his face. He clenched his fists and screamed at the top of his lungs, "Alive!"
What?
Amazing. Oh, that's so good.
What the fuck?
This is the best Sweet Valley High I've ever had the privilege of reading with you guys.
He was just a big fan of that movie about the soccer team that crashed in the Andes.
That movie scared the shit out of me.
I never watched it.
They ate each other's
Did
butts.
they eat each other?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why'd you watch it as a kid?
I don't know, because it didn't have boobs in it, so it was okay.
It had boobs in it?
No, I
Were
said
they
because it didn't.
Oh, it
It
didn't
had-
have boobs.
It
Okay.
didn't have
Boobs.
tits, but it had people eating ass.
It didn't have tits, but it
Boobs
had
was the
a
line.
horrific plane crash and people's like bodies getting like ripped apart and people getting like squished and
Ew.
they ate each other.
Yeah.
But that was
That absolutely
super
terrifying
cool.
depiction of an airplane ripping in half and people flying out of it.
It was harrowing. I watched that shit as a kid, and then I remember my mom like flying
Your mom
to
was
Egypt.
like, never get on a plane.
No, my mom
That was
was
Saturday
getting.
movie night for me and my family.
My mom was then going to get on a plane to go to Egypt. That was like
yeah.
when she went on her Egypt trip. And I, as a child, I was like terrified she was going to die.
Oh, God.
And I remember telling her like, "Don't get on a plane."
Oh, that's so sweet.
Just couldn't get over the visions in your head that you had seen in that fucking movie.
No, that movie like fucking fucked me up for a long time. And I don't know. I didn't fly anywhere as a kid, but like the first time I ever flew anywhere when I was like 19, I was definitely like, what if I crash and I have to eat people? Like,
Did you just fly to like North Carolina?
I flew to Georgia. But what if I crashed and had to eat people
Georgia.
in Georgia?
Fucking eat people if you
Georgia.
crash in Georgia.
You don't know what the South is like.
Yes, I do. I've been there.
Here, Chris, you read this page too, since that was short and
All
this is
right.
short.
Chapter 11. Bankruptcy.
Let's make a meal of that.
Elizabeth smiled up at Todd as they walked toward the bleachers.
In her yellow sundress.
She had just settled in with him for the second half when he had decided he was starving and dragged her back over to the concession stand. This
Go
was his
during
11th.
fucking halftime, Todd.
Right, Todd?
This was his
Can't
11th
think of
hot
anything
dog.
to shift characters around other than I'm hungry. Let me go to the concession stand.
Now they were making their way back, and Todd's arms were loaded down with snacks. 11 more hot dogs. Are you sure you can handle all that food? She asked with a laugh. Sure, Todd smiled. He was balancing a cardboard tray loaded with sodas, hot dogs, potato chips, and peanuts. Peanuts? Peanuts.
Prenups.
Elizabeth. Prenups.
Prenuptial agreement.
Elizabeth
I'm sorry,
had figured Elizabeth had figured Stephen would be joining them in the bleachers without Lila, so they had bought a few extra things for him. Todd leaned over and
Oh, that's
planted
the
a kiss on
explanation for that much food.
Todd leaned over and planted a kiss on Elizabeth's forehead. Gross. As he did, the side of the cardboard tray holding the 3 sodas dipped to one side.
You fucking
He tried to sidestep to balance everything, but it was useless. The sodas splashed to the ground, and the rest of the snacks followed.
He
A moment
overcorrected and went, whoop!
Yeah. A moment later, Todd was standing there with a foolish look on his face and a single bag of potato chips in his hand. Elizabeth burst out laughing. "You can see your face," she said. "It's like, how in the world did this happen to me?"
That's what Elizabeth.
This is funny stuff.
You're the funny twin. That's
she's-
what they all say.
She's the writer.
Yeah, she's right.
Can we acknowledge for a second that when you drop food you just bought, like it's an awful thing. It's an awful thing.
It
that
is.
It
happens.
is.
an
I'd
awful,
be
awful
fucking
thing.
miserable.
I
Especially
would-
soda that probably went on people.
I would be so angry with myself
Day
and
ruining.
everyone.
Yeah.
I would just be like, I'm fucking going home.
Yeah.
I don't care
We're
who
gonna
wins.
get in a fight later about something else.
Well, this day's ruined.
Have to go back to that guy at Home Depot and say, "Please match the paint on this fist-sized piece of drywall."
That hurt my lungs to
why
laugh.
is it so funny?
Oh, I was reading. That's right. Todd reddened a little. It only happened because I kissed you, he said with a grin. Oh, what? Oh, well, I guess I'm stuck with springing for some more food. He turned back to the snack bar. Come on. Wait, Elizabeth stiffened. She couldn't explain it, but suddenly she felt as if every nerve in her body was on alert, electrified. What's the matter? Todd asked.
The electricity from the unplugged puppet went to her.
Ah, that's it.
It's her.
That's where it went.
Yeah.
It's her twin tuition.
Hey-o.
No, this is where we find out she's the psychic twin.
Oh, man. I wanted to be psychic so bad.
I know. If I had been a twin, I also would have.
We tried really hard.
Yeah, I believe it.
Anyway.
What's the matter? Todd asked. He reached forward and took her hand. Liz, you're ice cold. Something is very wrong, Elizabeth said in a shaky voice. She could actually feel the skin on her scalp tightening with fear.
Jesus.
The blood pounded in her head. Jessica? Todd asked. Elizabeth swallowed and Elizabeth swallowed and glanced at her at the cheerleaders. Jessica was staring back at her, her eyes wide with fear. A sinking feeling of dread hit Elizabeth like a sledgehammer. Stephen, she whispered.
Is it
a fraction of a
actually?
second later, her world erupted in chaos.
What the fuck?
Twin tuition.
But it's but about their brother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never had a brother, so I guess I never
Blood-
got
Yeah,
that
you
connection.
don't get it.
Blood's thicker than water. Supposedly.
Elizabeth heard. Let's test that out. Elizabeth heard a hissing sound, followed by what sounded like the deafening roar of some terrifying beast. The sound seemed to reach out and pull everyone inside it. Then Elizabeth watched in horror as the gymnasium blew out, sending glass flying, spewing into the air. The earth seemed to tilt under her feet as the force of the explosion sent shockwaves out onto the football field. Todd grabbed her up in his arms and shielded her face. He was like, I guess I just would have dropped the food anyway.
The rest of you can get hurt, but not your face.
How extra
I can only deal with
embarrassing
so much.
would it be to drop a bunch of food and then there's an explosion that shakes the ground? Or like an earthquake or something. Like you were just standing there and dropped it like an idiot.
But in hindsight, you can blame it on it.
Happened.
In hindsight, you can spin it to blame it on the
everyone but
explosion.
I swear it was the explosion.
It's like I felt it in the ground.
I felt it. I felt it before like a dog. Todd grabbed her up in his arms and shielded her face. Elizabeth squeezed her eyes shut and clutched at Todd's shoulders. When she looked up a second later, flames were exploding from what was left of the gym. No! Elizabeth shrieked. Steven is inside! She pulled herself.
Oh yeah, you dumb bitches sent him in there.
Oh,
you should feel guilty as shit.
My God. She pulled herself out of Todd's arms and began racing toward the school building. Elizabeth, wait! Don't go near there! Todd cried, but she paid no attention. Doing a California accent, but like in an important yell, just still comes off as like an asshole. If anything happens to Stephen and Lila, it's our fault. Jessica's and mine. Yep. Elizabeth thought frantically. Oh, you reap what you sowed. All around her, people were running, sobbing, and screaming, but all she could think about was her brother. The closer Elizabeth got to the school, the thicker the crowd became. People were thundering off the bleachers. A few were trying to find a way. A few were trying to find out what had happened, but most were just trying to get away. This is fucked up.
A handful of people had managed to reach the parking lot. In their confusion, they had only succeeded in boxing each other in. They seesawed the cars back and forth uselessly, all while leaning on their horns. Seesawed? Meanwhile, Elizabeth threaded her way through the glut of bodies near the opening in the fence that surrounded the field, mindlessly pushing, shoving, and elbowing aside anyone who stood in her way. Everyone's acting real cool.
She's just all elbows.
Let me through, she cried, sobbing hysterically.
I'm with the student paper.
What a scoop!
Liz, wait up, Elizabeth heard Todd calling to her from somewhere nearby, but she didn't have time to turn around and find him. Fuck that guy.
Right?
Panic was turning the crowd into a stampeding herd. Security guards raced amid the chaotic throng, attempting to control the crowd with flares and bullhorns. Why did they have flares at a football game?
In case of emergency.
Flares?
I don't know.
They're not at sea.
No, like a road flare. Yeah.
That doesn't make more sense to me. But
I think
Like something you hold up in a dark room to reveal something much larger than yourself.
Like what Batman would do.
they're outside.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore.
Well,
Elizabeth
maybe there's a
streaks
Godzilla.
between two guards and charged toward the burning Godzilla. Stop, miss, a guard called after her, but Elizabeth barely heard him.
A Godzilla.
She raced ahead toward the leaping flames. The guard ran after her and grabbed her by both arms. Let me go, she yelled, struggling. My brother is inside. She was being dragged backward. You can't help him. You'll only hurt yourself, the guard said. Elizabeth, a voice cried.
At that moment, the guard said, look, lady, a lot of brothers are inside.
We've all got a brother inside, okay?
At the sound of her name, Elizabeth stopped struggling for a moment. Her eyes searched the crowd. Elizabeth! Jessica was standing at the edge of the crowd, looking as if she was about to faint. Tears were streaming down her cheeks. Jessica held out her arms, and Elizabeth ran into them. In a moment, Todd was at their side, trying to soothe their nerves. I'm sure Stephen's fine, Todd said quietly. Just try not to panic. But Elizabeth only sobbed harder. It's our fault, she told herself again. If we hadn't been so selfish, Stephen and Lila would be with us right now. Soon, the shrill sound of fire engine alarms and police sirens filled the air. Elizabeth raised her head. Through bleary eyes, she watched firefighters jump from the arriving trucks. They flew into a frenzy of activity, unraveling fire hoses and swarming around the building. But by then, the ambulances had pulled up. Their haunting wail announcing their arrival.
Yeah.
A line of police cars screeched to a stop, and uniformed officers sprang into action, organizing the crowd and quieting hysterical bystanders and ticketing everyone that was parked illegally. An older officer with a gray hair pulled back in a bun rolled out a yellow tape to keep the crowd at bay. All right, nothing to see here. The sounds of panic and hysteria were gradually dying down, giving way to quiet sobbing and murmured questions.
Gray hair pulled back in a bun is not what I expect to see on like a police officer.
That's as far off from a cop as like Kevin Kline in January, man.
They give so many physical descriptions of people that don't fucking matter.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter why they look like that. Like, is there any reason why we should know that John Pheifer had white pants and a striped shirt? Probably not.
Yeah,
why would they
not
tell
unless
us
he's
that?
like covered in soot now, but yeah, exactly.
But even still, like any clothes would show soot.
It really it does feel like this is a book for teenage girls. They want to know what everyone's wearing.
He
But
was
what was
dressed
her
like he
hair
was in
like?
a Rod
Yeah.
Stewart music video. White pants
They
and a
wanna
striped
react-
shirt.
Although I do like anything that's going to make teenage girls react to a cop by going, oh, ew.
Ew. Why's their hair so gray?
Ew, bud.
Diet.
Wow, in rich white towns, like the response is quick.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, they were right there.
Everyone stood there staring at the school, waiting. Then suddenly a buzz of excitement went through the throng of people as a few firemen rounded the corner of the building. They were leading two staggering figures wrapped in blankets. Elizabeth's heart leapt. It's Stephen and Lila, she cried, lurching forward. A guard immediately grabbed her and held her back. Please find out if they're okay, Elizabeth heard Jessica plead. It's my brother and a friend. The guard nodded. All right, but wait here. Elizabeth held her breath as the guard consulted with an emergency worker who was leading Lila toward the back of an ambulance. Stephen was already sitting on the bumper. The guard nodded and then began weaving his way back through the crowd of firefighters and cops. As nearly as anyone can tell, your brother and the girl will be okay, he said. They have some cuts and bruises and they need some attention, but there are no broken bones. Elizabeth let out a long, slow breath. Yeah, right. Mop.
Yeah. Mom.
Look, you guys are gonna be okay. What?
Huh?
Elizabeth let out
I'm
a long,
so sad they didn't
slow
get
breath.
to play their prank on Elizabeth and Jessica. Now this whole stupid firebomb
My
thing
God.
upstaged it.
Amidst all this commotion, I completely forgot.
That would have been so good. They deserved it so much. Maybe it can still happen.
It'll still
I don't
happen.
know.
They can still make it happen.
It could be like the firebomb brought us closer together.
Oh, God.
Now we're gonna get married and have babies and dogs crawling on the floor.
We're going to have a fire-themed wedding.
a barbecue. Yeah,
Babies
barbecue.
and dogs and OJ lawyers.
OJ.
Wait, why do you keep bringing up OJ?
Because that guy
Oh,
I was going to say F. Murray Abraham. No, F. Lee Bailey.
But he would be played by F. Murray Abraham.
F. Lee Bailey was a lawyer in the OJ trial.
yes, I understand.
Yep.
Elizabeth let out a long, slow breath. Can we see them? She asked hopefully. Sorry, miss, the guard answered. They don't want to let anyone through until they're sure the fire is contained. The police also want to question your brother and the girl to find out if they saw anything. But they should be able to go home in a few hours.
Thank you, Elizabeth said. The guard smiled and walked away. Jessica clasped Elizabeth's hand. I don't think I could have lived with myself if anything had happened to them, she said. Neither could I, Elizabeth whispered as tears spilled from her eyes. Suddenly, a hush fell over the crowd. 2 firemen, their faces red and covered with a layer of sweat and soot, were carrying a stretcher toward an ambulance. And I'm borrowing again. On it was a body, completely covered in a dark blanket from head to foot. A horrified
Devon?
murmur broke the silence. Oh, fuck.
It couldn't be.
No.
Right?
It couldn't be. It could.
It would be crazy.
It would be crazy if it was Devon. A horrified murmur broke the silence and swept through the crowd like a wave. Everyone realized what the blanket meant. Dead. Elizabeth felt the heightened tension as everyone around her held their breath, silently asking the same question. Who is it? Lila stood with her back to the ambulance, her face illuminated by the flashing lights on the fire trucks, police cars, and ambulances. It was very cinematic. She shivered in the warm afternoon air in spite of the blanket wrapped around her. There was a gash on her forehead, and her arms were covered with tiny cuts made by flying glass. Both legs were bruised, and her knees were bloody from where she had been propelled to the ground by the force of the explosion.
Her designer dress was now a torn, muddy rag.
Oh, no!
Silent tears rolled down Lila's cheeks, the results of a mixture of shock and relief. As she looked at the scene before her, Lila didn't even realize she was crying. Soot and cinders whirled in the air. Firefighters and police and ambulance workers were everywhere, moving equipment and shouting orders, barking into walkie-talkies, or just standing by. Just standing around. Some of them were on break.
So that's how
Union
they do.
rules.
They sure
Yeah.
called a lot of us
That
here,
is
didn't they?
that tracks.
Yeah.
Stephen stood at her side, his hand on her shoulder. She was glad for his presence. His strength gave her strength. Jesus. She looked up at him. I can't believe I'm alive, she said through dry, parched lips. I'm afraid I'll find out I'm in one of those horror stories where the character is dead but doesn't know it yet.
This isn't Christopher
What
Pike.
story? I want to read that
It's
story.
Remember Me.
Remember Me. A single dry sob shook her body. It's all so terrible, like a horrible, horrible dream. Except I'll never wake up. Shh, Stephen said gently.
Shut up.
Shut up.
Shut up.
Shush, shush.
There were 2
I
shushes,
said
so I
gently.
combined them.
Okay.
He took her in his arms and ran his hand over her hair. You're alive and you'll live through this. You'll have your old life. You're alive and you'll keep being alive.
You'll keep being alive
You'll
unless
have-
something else weird happens.
Yeah. He's still on the loose, so.
No, he's dead, I think.
Unless he's the body.
But he yelled alive.
He did yell alive. We don't know who the body is. I'm guessing
don't
it's him.
know. I don't think it's him.
It would be crazy if it was Devon.
It can't be Devon, but I don't think it's him either.
Okay.
You'll have your old life back.
God, what if it's just like a janitor?
It's anyone but John Pheifer would be pretty fucking bad.
Yeah.
John Pheifer, what?
I like him.
Thank you.
You'll have your old life back, and it's a wonderful life, Lila. It's a life most girls would envy. Lila attempted a smile and failed. I suppose so, she said, but I wish people didn't envy me. They only do because they don't know that my life isn't as perfect as they think.
But you're rich.
After all, look at this.
Well, her parents don't love her.
Yeah, that's true.
Isn't that great?
They're in Barbados.
See what that did to Devon.
Yeah.
After all, look at this. She gestured to the scene around them. All this because of meh. A chill shot through her, and her teeth began chattering. Don't blame yourself, Lila, Stephen said. All of this happened because of John. He drew her blanket tighter around her. John, Lila whispered. A moment later, she realized something had changed. The crowd had fallen silent. She looked around quickly. What is it? Then Lila saw the stretcher. She felt a wave of nausea and grabbed Stephen for support. I'll go check it out, Stephen said quietly. He helped Lila to a seat in the back of the ambulance, then walked over to speak with a police officer standing near the body. When he returned, Lila saw that his face was ashen. Lila stood shakily. Heard thudding in her chest. Okay, so I imagine that meant her heart.
Her head?
But
Wait,
in the scan of this page of a printed book, it's
her
heard thudding in her chest. Excuse me. It's John Pheifer Mellencamp, Lila, Stephen told her. He's dead.
He yelled alive.
He was insane.
That was before it exploded.
But why?
I don't.
That.
I true like even
Nonsensical and insane. I love it so much.
Okay, well now I'm just picturing he's like got his arms up in the air and he's yelling alive. Like I'm invincible, like Goldeneye, but then he's getting fucking exploded to death.
Like even before I knew he was dead, it made no sense to me. Like, why would you scream that?
If the arsonist is dead, what's going to happen in the next book?
Devon, I don't know. Devon.
That it's just
maybe
a romance.
It's a duology.
A copycat.
They made such a to-do about who was going to be yanked out of that gymnasium dead, and it was the only logical one for it to have been.
Yeah.
He was dressed like a Rod Stewart music video.
There's no mistaking it.
It was the guy who shouted,
jeans.
I knew it, Lila said softly. There was no way he could have survived that blast. She looked up at Stephen with wide, frightened eyes.
Maybe he just put his shitty white jeans
on a dummy?
On
a hobo?
someone else. On a hobo. And threw him in the gym.
I'll redo that whole paragraph.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm not that sorry.
Well, no, just because I read ahead, so it makes sense. I knew it, Lila said softly. There was no way he could have survived that blast. She looked up at Stephen with wide, frightened eyes. Do you remember the last word he said?
Wait, yeah.
It was alive. Without warning, uncontrollable sobs burst forth, leaving Lila gasping for breath.
What does that mean?
As the tears streamed down her cheeks.
Maybe she's just psychologically broken and how little sense that makes.
Okay, yeah. Me too. Lila.
As the tears streamed down her cheeks, Lila saw an EMS worker in a white coat approaching.
What the fuck is an EMS?
Excuse me, miss.
Like an
She
EMS.
said,
Emergency medical staff.
Oh.
Services. Or, staff.
Yeah,
Excuse
you dumb
me, miss.
bitch. Why did you know that?
She said, putting a hand on Lila's arm. You seem to be very upset. Yeah, no fucking shit. Why don't you step into the ambulance and I'll give you something to help you calm down. Uh-oh, don't do it. This is a trap.
Clonazepam.
Take a hit of this.
Lila pulled away from her. Leave me alone, she shrieked. Don't you dare come near me. I agree with Lila's instincts here. Lila felt herself spinning out of control as images flew through her mind. John's smiling face when she first agreed to go out with him, his steely glare that night at Miller's Point when he tried to rape, the psychotic look in his eyes
Which
as
was
he
not
screamed his
mentioned.
final word. alive.
Which was not mentioned in this book up until this moment.
They mentioned a bit about that he tried to rape somebody.
Yeah, they alluded to it, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, girl could use a little clonazepam or something.
Yeah, definitely. Everyone.
It's not from a random
therapy.
EMS worker in the back of an ambulance. All I'm saying, from a licensed prescribed by a doctor. Yeah. I'm all for it.
She does seem like she basically has a dog catcher's net with her.
She's wearing a white coat,
ready to lock you away for good.
I love.
Oh well, clearly you're hysterical.
Paragraph.
Oh god!
The EMS worker backed away as Lila paced, shaking her head to try to clear her thoughts.
She's like, "It's too much for me. This bitch is crazy."
Yeah. Oh my god.
Lila was dimly aware of Stephen's voice telling her to calm down, to listen to him.
Holy shit!
Listen to me, you daffy broad.
Don't you know a white knight when you see one?
Finally, Stephen grabbed her by the shoulders, forcing her to stop walking. Lila looked into Stephen's kind, concerned eyes as he murmured soothing words. Over his shoulder, she caught a glimpse of Elizabeth and Jessica staring at her with red, swollen eyes. Then Stephen folded her in his arms, and she buried her head against his chest and cried.
God.
Damn!
God.
Oh, God. Yeah, that was the chapter.
That was a lot.
God.
Oh, man.
Damn.
Alex, how did you think your Wednesday was going to go?
I don't know, but my dog's barking in the background. I don't know if you can pick it up, but she thought that was terrible.
She's also traumatized.
Yeah.
She's so cute. I love her.
Holy shit.
She's the best. We love her so much.
Well, you have to.
You do have to.
She's the best.
I don't even know.
So much of the previous episodes are just like how filler, and then just put it all in the the end bit.
Terrorist bomber. Oh, fucking goddamn.
Incel bomber.
I feel so privileged to have read those chapters with you.
Alex, you really lucked out being on this episode and not the last one.
Yeah.
This chapter had all the context that the rest of the book did not.
Yeah, and action also. This chapter delivered on the whole book so far, like what we were expecting.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
And
if you're doing something that's a separate book, you have to fill in the audience on shit from the previous book. That's just like writing rule number 1. Even if you're reading it immediately after, which will seem annoying. If you're reading like a whole series after,
yeah, usually books do that.
You still have to have that in there.
Well,
because sometimes there's like a year between books. You have to have that recap.
It's not like I wanted to read the word rape a whole bunch of times in this book, but literally that context in the first chapter probably would have been good. Like knowing who this fucking guy was.
They definitely mentioned it.
Well, they did, but in passing so much that I didn't know it was even Lila.
Our frame
they
of
might
reference...
have said it, and I don't remember because it was early. But I mean, she was having visceral reactions to his name.
Yeah.
But yeah, they definitely could have gone through more detail about the date and whatever.
Yeah.
Situation, how they met, anything like that.
They could have set him up more as a villain than just I feel like a couple times in this book so far where Stephen's I think it's John.
Also, they've talked about him so much in this book. This is the first time he's ever shown up.
Yes.
And what he did was act fucking bananas and then blow up the gym and die.
Yes.
Up until this point.
He's not been in the book until
He has not been in the
now.
book. You're right. Holy shit.
Up until this point, from our point of view, the only reason he was blamed for all those crimes was because he liked the same soda that was used in the fire.
Yes, exactly.
And it's why didn't you then, I don't know, just one sentence. Oh, the kind of soda the guy that tried to rape her liked.
Ah, man. I don't
even... It would have made so much more sense.
It would have been so easy. And they could have made this such a much stronger narrative.
They spent too much time spinning wheels when they could have led up to that a little more than it just happening. But
yeah, some run-ins with him being creepy, or seeming like a red herring, but
Yes.
not being a red herring.
Exactly. He could have literally been in the book at all.
Like maybe he said a single sentence before this past couple of chapters.
Before them catching him in the bushes and then being like, I'm gonna fucking kill you with a bomb!
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just like some run-ins with him where they describe him as always sweaty. Like even something as innocent as that. It's just like, oh no, the sweaty guy did it.
The sweaty guy. Oh, look at that dog. Look at that dog.
I see a tail.
Look at that dog.
She looks
Her
so
tail.
happy. Hi, Gwen. Oh, you have headphones on. I don't know how I did
Barked.
that. Tell her I said hi.
Tell her.
When Bekah says hi.
Yay.
Alex, what did you think of this incredible couple of chapters?
I mean, what am I going to say? That was amazing. I'm so lucky.
I'm so
Oh,
happy.
that was so good. That
Oh.
was so much fun.
That's amazing.
This is called trauma bonding.
Yeah, I'm so happy you were here for this. Is there anything you want listeners to know about?
Season 4 of The Boys is out. Check it out. It's pretty good.
Yeah, conservatives
I'm
hate
digging
it.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they're just now
People-
realizing, like, wait a minute.
That is the funniest thing.
There's more of them out there who hadn't dawned on them yet, and they continue to realize.
It's crazy. It's crazy to me that after like 4 full fucking seasons of this, they're like, wait, are we the baddies?
Hold on a second.
After, like,
The baddies.
But after it like comes out on the internet, people discussing and making fun of conservatives, only just realizing in season 3 that they're being made fun of.
Yeah. It's
That's
just like
shocking.
the amount of shit you've seen Homelander do, and you're like, but he's not the hero? Fucking.
And all this stuff with the Nazi.
With the Nazi,
It
with
was
the
never
literal
been
Nazi.
subtle. The show's never been
no,
subtle.
it
It's never
hasn't.
been his
Yeah.
thing.
The
Well, some people are genuinely accusing the show of not being subtle enough now. Look, it was way more subtle before. It's like, no, it wasn't.
it was never subtle. It was
What-
never subtle.
What show did you watch?
The producer of the show said recently, like, if you're like alt-right or whatever, if you're like, if you think it's not good, don't fucking watch it. It's just like, we don't want you watching it. Fuck you. It's crazy. Yeah, watch The Boys. It's great. Well,
And
yeah.
if you like The Boys, check out Supernatural, because the same guy made that show.
Oh, really?
Right on, right on.
Yeah, and it has like 16 fucking seasons.
Yeah, I know.
So
It's-
just watch until
years
he
and
left the
years
show,
and
and
years of that
you
show.
got a good show there.
Watch The Boys. They don't need our plug. They're
That's fine, but
yes.
they can have it anyway.
They can have it anyway. Listen to the rest of Below Grade Level. We've got this is episode I think 91. We
wow.
are approaching episode 100.
We should do something special.
We are
Wow.
doing something special.
What are we doing? Did we already talk about it and I
Yay.
forgot?
We might have, but I'll talk to you off air
Okay.
about it because it's a
Ooh,
surprise.
excited.
Yeah, okay, that's a good plug. Keep listening to Below Grade Level because we probably got one more book in us before we do episode 100, and it is going to be a very special episode. Also, listen to The Sketchy Show, which is our other podcast. A sketch.
I'm on that too.
It's Chris, me, and John Walker, who will be on the next episode as our closer, and a cavalcade of guest stars sometimes, mostly just the three of us. Bekah, you're on it occasionally.
Every now and then.
Kelly's
on it a lot
Kelly's
more than
on
I
it a
am.
lot, yeah.
Yep.
There is.
Alex, you should be on it sometime. You want to be silly with us?
Well, yes, I should.
You should.
That sounds great. That sounds.
Sometime off air, let us discuss it.
Let's figure it out. CactusRodeo.com and CactusRodeo.com/podcast. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow me on TikTok. Just check us out online. Follow and subscribe, all that kind of crap. Yeah. Alex, thank you so much for reading this
Thank you for having
batshit
me.
insanity with us. This got amazing.
Oh, this was the best.
And we'll definitely have you on again sometime for a not Sweet Valley, a different book, because you deserve that.
We'll make it something else. Yeah.
He deserves a Christopher
That's what
Pike.
I was just gonna say.
He does. He's earned
Yes.
it for sure.
I mean, I got a pretty good one this time.
It
Yeah.
was good, but yeah.
So I mean, I'm in no position to complain.
If you liked this, imagine this times 100 every chapter, and that's Christopher Pike.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
This,
yeah.
but what if someone was like a robot that went back in time?
Yes, please and thank you.
And tried to fuck
wanted
and
to
kill the grandpa.
Yes.
Yeah, well, like wanted to
I'll
smooch your
never
grandpa.
get over that book. I'll be thinking about that book on my deathbed. Those are all real examples from a real book, Alex.
I'm gonna have that on my epitaph. Yeah, thanks for listening. Find out what happens next in the conclusion of Sweet Valley High, Fight Fire with Fire. Next time. We love you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Below Grade Level is a Cactus Radio production. You can contact us at podcast@cactusrodeo.com. Subscribe and follow on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify, and follow Cactus Rodeo on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more entertainment and updates.
Look the same at Sweet Valley, Sweet Valley. Sweet Valley, Sweet Valley, Sweet Valley. Sweet Valley. You can never really tell which one you're standing next to. One thing is for sure, you can be sure of nothing. Lots of gossip going round about this one, that one. Not too many secrets left in the world.